stuff.
Going.
Okay, cool.
I did my yacht rock version.
Yes. Whatever you.
Oh, is he gonna do the music?
I can go. I can do it
Okay.
if it's easier. It's easier.
Yeah,
for me.
that would be
I'll-
easier.
Just tell me when to go. I'll stand up and I'll do it.
All right.
It's be awkward. I'll be sitting here while it plays. We don't even like it.
This is WOMM LP operating out of Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. Good evening, it's the Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Tom Proctor, and with me tonight is Dino-Bravo and Ray Padgett. Hello.
Hey,
What's up?
I just want to make clear that it's not Dino-Bravo and Ray Padgett as in all one band. It's the band Dino-Bravo and the journalist Ray Padgett. So hello, how's it going, guys?
good. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Pardon?
Thanks for having us, man.
Oh, no. Honestly, anytime. Plus, after it's taken so many years to get this album out of yours that's just been released, I would expect nothing less than you guys to be coming onto the Rocket Show. So, really appreciate you coming in. We always like kicking it off with a song, so I'm hoping this one's going to be one from the new album.
Yeah. We'll play the first track off the album. Right now, it's called "The Aerialists." I have to stand up and play it real quick.
No worries.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
that's
okay.
been great.
You guys are fantastic. Really excellent. Really excellent.
Yeah. Play next verse.
That's all. I thought you guys were playing live.
No, unless we get saved. No, it was going to be kind of a. We didn't really know if all four of us were going to make it anyway. Yeah, we're terrible live.
Not part of the acoustic set.
We can do that.
All over the.
They can play too. So we can,
Doesn't Tom have
yeah,
to
we'll
get
play
it?
some cards.
That's what I'm wondering. He didn't seem to care. Let me ask.
We should just come and play. The new Tame Impala. So, like, this is our new record.
The same
Just
call
play
out.
the Tame Impala.
Yeah, you can have
Did you give us this to put on the radio yet? On the station? Probably not.
Probably not. No, this just came out last week, so no, it did. I'll do
He
that.
said-
before we leave.
Move Molly.
No, right now it's just all
He
online.
said move Molly.
Files and download codes are fine by me.
Yeah, it's right up on Bandcamp for free.
'Cause he wants-
We'll do it.
Yes,
We'll do it every week. So. And our hidden track at the end was just us talking about Weird Al More.
There's no way to get them all.
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, there's no way.
It's called
That's
Play It
hard.
Backwards and Kill Your Parents.
Yeah, I don't think there is. Unless we had it up here.
Another Dino-Bravo.
You called the wrestler?
No, I'm talking about another band.
It's soon, right?
Yeah.
Let's just share these guys. I'm mad. Are they good?
Champaign, Illinois.
Oh, fuck that.
Last album.
Everybody knows it's in Champaign, Illinois.
Last album released in 2011.
That's
Oh,
as
see,
good as
they're
it's gonna
different. They're different. That's why we didn't put down that
That's
till
when
now.
you guys fought.
Right.
2011.
Yeah. You're trying to piece it together.
Yeah, you figured it out.
Yeah.
We were chased out of Illinois.
That was shit.
Yeah, you cannot get Tom in there.
Witness protection program, you're supposed to cheat.
No shot. Unless we put it over there.
We blow it every time.
Do you want it? Do you want to like sit now?
So it.
Put it right there. And then you sit here. Or do you not even want to do
We
that?
can.
I mean, that's
That'd be
accurate.
better.
I don't know if that helps.
We're
Dino-Bravo is the wrestler's name. In the 80s, for real, yeah.
What's happening?
but we also like to wrestle.
Yeah.
You wrestle.
All the good stuff should be everywhere else.
No, we can't say this on the air. All we say on the air is that it's like God gave us this.
Yeah.
Good work, great team.
If you could plug the Labour Party or
Is that to kill Jeffrey Epstein? The Labour Party kill Epstein? Oh, yes.
Jeremy Corbyn person.
How do I become controversial in England, Tom?
I like bars, but
It's too late. He's solid, man. That's all I gotta do. Vermonters love me. Should I stop the record now? Ah, you got it. I wish we need that.
that was the Aerialist by Dino-Bravo of the new album, Blind by Midnight. So guys, tell me a little bit about the record itself. As you were talking a little bit during the song, you formed in 2011. Debut album 2019.
That's right.
Tell me about everything from concept to completion on this album.
Mostly we were, I guess we were starting to get a little stagnant. And we get together every Monday around the corner here at Green Door Studio, and it kind of started turning into more of a hang, smoking weed, talking about other bands in town.
Yeah.
Behind their backs, and
Viciously.
Viciously.
Is it like a Mean Girl situation? You guys just like making a burn book and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
spreading rumors?
It's
Nah.
like a secret note.
Mostly we went into a Robot Dog studio where we recorded the album. We went in there to do a radio show with Tim Lewis, and got to know Ryan a little better, Ryan Cohen, and felt really comfortable there. Felt comfortable with him, and we decided, Christ, it's probably time to put something out, you know. So it's it's a 6-song record. 5 of the songs we've been playing for years. That one we just heard is one of the newer ones that Chris wrote, and just went in there and banged it out in one day. Did some vocals at our buddy David's house, and they got mixed, and there it was on Bandcamp. So we're pretty proud of it. I think it sounds pretty good. Ryan did a great job, so David did as well. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to Dave. It's super tight, and I mean that's to be expected. All you guys have various bands around town. You're no strangers to recording studios or being musicians or just getting things done quickly.
Yeah.
How did you pick the 6 songs that are going to be on there? Because I mean, after you existed for more years than there are songs, so I feel it's probably more of a back catalogue out there of tracks you know. So how did you guys whittle it down to these 6?
Not easily. At first, I think it was just because we had waited so long to make one. We had all this kind of stuff sitting here, and we were in this weird position where we had gotten a little tired, because we've been playing them live for so many years that we didn't really know how to interact with some of the tunes anymore. And so it kind of started as this idea of like, this will be how we put them to bed. But then like kind of recording, and we started liking them again. so that happened with that idea. So I don't know. I don't really. A couple of them picked themselves pretty easily, but there was a couple. There's like 1 or 2 that I think could have made it on. But yeah, these were like, I don't know. These just have the better flow. Kerry handles all the set lists, so
That's right.
He handles this.
I feel like a couple of them were just songs that we knew we could play in our sleep, and I think a couple of them were songs we thought were popping pretty well live around that time. So we just kind of went with that, and the idea floating around now is that we'll do another thing like almost exactly like this next year, and like a new song and maybe like 5 more of the old ones, and then really, and then year 3 do another one with all new music, kind of make it a trilogy. Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking right now. We think about a lot of stuff though. So.
Yeah.
Best things come in 3s.
That's right. Yeah.
Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
The first 3 Police Academy, but none after.
Alvin, Simon, Theodore.
Exactly. Snap, crackle, pop.
Right.
So,
yeah, those guys are great.
Any number above 3 actually is usually pretty terrible.
Too much, which is why we never made Jeff an official member of the band.
I played all the drums on the album. I did. I played. I just want to be honest. We're out here on the radio. We're live, and no one can lie anymore. I played all the drums on this record.
So the FEC regulations, you're not allowed to lie on the radio.
You're not allowed to lie on the radio. I have to be honest. I played every drum beat on this record, and Jeff wasn't even there.
Well, it's a bit like a Beatles scenario where it's actually Ringo play. Sorry, it's actually Paul. Or
that's
John
right. What did Paul play drums on again?
All sorts of stuff.
He had USSR, right? Back in USSR, was that Paul? I played drums on the White Album.
There you go.
I like that you're in here as kind of like the music historian on this one. It's not often that I see Chris defer to someone else in terms of knowledge of music.
Yeah.
So it's
Ray comes on whenever I start lying horribly about
I'm
what
the
I've done on
fact
records.
checker.
I didn't play any of the drums in the album.
I'm not even sure his guitar was plugged in when I saw him live, frankly.
it's a little bit like giving a little brother the controller. That's what they do with Chris. They just give him an unplugged instrument and let him strum for himself.
If they run out of Riddlin,
You
they're
just
like,
want to
no,
keep him
no.
occupied, you know.
Yeah, before I do anything.
Ray, you wrote about this album. You got some great quotes from it. For example, Chris's explanation of the band being fiercely unambitious, which I thought was a fantastic quote. What was your first take of the album? And knowing Dino-Bravo, what did you expect them to record, and how did that meet your expectations with, or not meet your expectations with what they actually produced?
Well, so having only actually moved here 6 months ago, my relationship to Vermont music is almost entirely through recorded Vermont music, which means that Dino-Bravo was one of those names I knew existed. I think maybe I'd seen him at Waking Windows once or something, but like basically I didn't know much, and I saw him once or twice, and they were fantastic live. That when I realized that they had been together for quite so many years without having recorded an album, I was kind of stunned, but it seems like it was worth the wait. I mean, it's a sort of great classic rock inspired bangers that like guitar solos everywhere, great lyrics. One member's referencing Thin Lizzy, and others referencing My Morning Jacket. So it was it was perfect, I guess, for me, because by the time I really knew who they were, bam, they had an album out. So for me, it wasn't 8 years.
We waited for Ray to move back.
Just to be to let listeners know, Ray is the owner and writer of County Tracks. So if you've ever liked a Vermont musician or been a Vermont musician, which accounts for about 75% of Vermont, Ray's probably written about you at some point. And you do have a fantastic. I mean, it's been going for a number of years right now. And I'm gonna get that clear. You're living outside Vermont for a long time, or you literally this is the first time you've started living here?
Yeah, no, I was living away for quite a while. I lived here for only a year, like 5 years ago, just long enough to sort of get very into the local music scene. And then sort of we had to move away for work, the day job, but I was still following it remotely. Still reading about it on Bandcamp and listening to what I could. And so I've for many years run another blog on cover songs. And so my sort of impulse is if I'm paying attention to something in music, I want to write about it. So because I couldn't actually see any of these bands live or go to shows or anything, I was like, well, at least I can sort of write a blog. And the angle was sort of by an outsider for outsiders. So up until, like I said, 6 months ago, County Tracks its entire existence has been run by a guy living in Brooklyn, but about exclusively Vermont-based musicians.
Now you're one of us.
Yeah, now I'm here.
So did you grow up here?
No, I went to school nearby. So that's kind of how Burlington was the closest town that had like concerts and record stores. So I came here a lot, and that's kind of how I first fell in love with the area.
What is it about Vermont bands and musicians that kind of drive you to write about them? Because you're living in Brooklyn. I mean, it's a pretty, I've heard, such a pretty big hub when it comes
We're
to
better than the Strokes.
new
Though,
music.
right? We're better than the Strokes.
I mean, no one's doubting that. I mean, I'm pretty sure
You're talking
they
about
said
Crowdell?
themselves.
I heard there were one or two bands based in Brooklyn. No, I mean, in a way, Burlington has a music scene in a way Brooklyn doesn't, meaning that like because a city like New York is so big and sprawling, it's not really a music scene. There's a million little music scenes, but they're all kind of their weird little niches. Whereas Burlington, I kind of the bands I think are fantastic, but also just the environment for music is really strong. Partly because it's somewhat isolated, so of course you have bands of different genres collaborating, working together. Everyone knows each other, and people tend to support each other because it's a ways away to get to a big city. Whereas New York, everyone's coming and going. Nothing really coalesces in the same sort of way.
So are you saying that Burlington music then has a unique sound because of the amount of collaboration and the cross-pollination that's been going on?
I don't know about unique, but in terms of my experience, living only in sort of these very big cities, there's plenty of collaboration, but I've just noticed that I do think there is something special about a smaller city where it is somewhat isolated and sort of people do, work together, know each other, hang out in a way that if you have a million different scenes, people are more likely to, stay in their metal scene or their folk scene or whatever. and you probably won't get those unexpected meetings and people making music together you might not expect to.
Back to Dino-Bravo. As Ray kind of pointed out, each song that you've got on your new album seems to point to a musician. You guys are like meta musicians, really. The whole album's a bit of an ode to your favorite songs. Was that a big part of how you picked your tracks, or is every Dino-Bravo song in some way referencing another band or musician?
Super meta.
Yeah, no, that's just something that happened. I think we do, as Ray said in the article, wear our influences on our sleeves almost through fault sometimes. It just happened to be the group of songs we picked were a little more specific. I didn't think about it when we put the track list together.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the way it happened. And I was like, oh, this song and this song make the same reference, and then he makes a reference, and then the song "Strawberry Blonde" that Josh Shedeker wrote, our bass player, that it's very Thin Lizzy-esque. But not all of our songs are like that, I don't think.
Yeah. And
it was not on purpose.
Yeah.
It just happened to be. Yeah.
I do think some of it slipped in because there is I mean, it's no secret. Like rock and roll is becoming more and more of a frontier thing. You know, rock's not pop anymore, and it hasn't been for a while. And I think you can, if you start, like, we don't view ourselves as doing anything on that. Like, we just play what we know how to play. We don't really know how to play anything else. But rock and roll is kind of a little bit more on the outskirts these days. So I think there is a sort of fierce. It's like being in a club now more than it used to be in some way, and you want to shout out like what's great about it sometimes, because maybe people didn't used to ask you what's so great about it, and now you're like, wow, well, let me tell you really loudly. So I think like maybe that's got in the subconscious, and I think that's why we wrote about these things, because we were writing about life events. Like, the song that references My Morning Jacket is actually about Perry having this big kind of life event around where that's just a thing in the background. And, we stepped back as a band to realize, I don't know if not realize, but to see like, oh, wow, these are important things in our lives. It's important. Like I'm having this big moment while this is playing, So I think it's more the acknowledge of the effect of it than it is the actual, the band, other than Weird Al.
Music is our favorite thing in the world, and the bands we love passionately, and there's no way it doesn't bleed through, I don't think.
Ray busted us.
Yeah.
Other than that, Ray called me up and he's like, that guitar solo, I know what that's from. And I was like, shut up, Ray.
It took me a few listens. I was like, it sounds really familiar. I know this.
You write about this in your
Get
blog.
a cease and desist letter through the place every day now.
I know, we got a lawyer. He's good.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Well, I'd love to hear another track.
Oh, yeah.
So, what have you got for us?
Very enough.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, do you want to give us a quick glimpse of the song?
You've Heard Enough is basically about, you swear on this?
Let's try and keep it
Try not to?
PG-13
Okay.
as possible.
This is about getting stuck in a spot, becoming sick of yourself, and then having the paranoia that just about everyone in your life must be sick of your horseradish, because you're sick of your own horseradish, and kind of dealing with that in a downtime on a day off from everything, just sitting home, self-loathing, and trying to bring yourself up from that. I just made that up, man.
Yeah, it is. The song's about wrestling.
It's not about wrestling.
Bravo getting shot in the face. What happened in the real Dino-Bravo?
I'm so tired.
I had to put it on there. The Zeus photo.
Their cups were
Oh, really?
water.
I think so.
My face. Should we tell the dad out? So
That's what I'm just saying. I keep getting distracted because he's there. He's like right in the front too. Like, oh.
And there's a Lobot on that one. So I'm surrounded by my other bands. It's good.
You're the fat fans get jealous of me.
No. They must. My Zeus is so neurotic. They have so many other problems. They can't even get the jealousy. They're too busy like getting mad about reverb on a drum. Like, I don't have to worry about any of that. Way bigger problem. Ready to keep Jeff shut up.
What song is this one?
This is You've Heard Enough. About wrestling. Just for something here.
That's how you should end your interview.
Yeah,
You've heard enough.
Throw me a big headline.
Sit with a juice again, man.
That shit is the best part of the record. It's my literally favorite thing he does the whole record. It's so awesome. I don't know why.
It reminds me of something.
Failing your parents. Letting them down.
That's it. My exams will come.
Yeah. This is all over again.
5 Ds.
That was England, by the way.
But yeah,
Yeah?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, the whole country was stressed.
Yeah.
So apart from that, it was very, we did a lot of rushing around.
Did they mention them?
Yeah. They were like, why did you bring Chris? We heard so much about him. That was real.
It's real. He's real. And when they see this tonight,
What's the big heavy world Instagram password?
what a start.
Why? I have to.
I'm just thinking, do you want me to stick around here or cut out?
I mean, I thought you were coming on like because Chris told me to.
Already posted? I already posted that story.
I do our fans are showing up.
We
don't care, dude. We love this.
I want
I
to
don't know something about like you're giving me.
Alright, yeah, alright. I'm good with it.
Should I just put a picture on the story?
Sure, yeah, that's what I do always do.
I'm not good for all of them. Yeah, now it's Dino-Bravo.
I'll just sit here and if you need me to chime
Yeah.
in, chime in.
I like you being the fact checker.
Alright, yeah.
Let's go fact checker. I spent an inordinate amount of time on your Heavenly Songs website there, by the way.
Oh, good.
I've been going down the Radiohead cover list.
We get, it's a lot, yeah.
You could post that
That was,
photo
we've
though.
heard enough
I
about
didn't get that
Dino-Bravo. And we were having a bit of a conversation during the break here about a few of Chris's other bands. So, Chris, who else do you play for the listeners?
I'm in Zeus Springsteen as well, as is Josh, our bass player. So two out of the 4 Dino-Bravos are in Zeus. And, you know.
Perry, do you play with other bands as well?
No, not current. Well, I do play with everybody's favorite Irish drinking song band.
Once a year band.
Yeah, once a year band. We play on St. Patrick's Day. We sing drinking songs and throw potatoes at the audience.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
As
Yeah,
an
it's
Irish
pretty
person, it's incredibly insulting.
Yeah, that's the point.
That is.
Get out of my country.
You can build a wall around Ireland.
Yeah,
It is quite racist if you
yeah.
think about it.
Everyone accepts it with the Irish.
Yeah.
I mean, too drunk to care.
Wow.
So yeah, Chris. In terms of the kind of the way that you play with Zeus and the way you play with Dino, what creatively do you look for when you sit down and you play with Dino, and what creatively are you looking for when you go with Zeus?
Well, I mean, right off the bat, one thing is different is that you have the other songwriters, you know, like writing and playing with Perry and the songs that Perry writes is very different than playing on like songs that David writes. And even like when either band plays songs I write, it's just different. I think with Bravo, there is just kind of this, I don't know, I was gonna say unspoken, but I think we speak it a lot actually. There's just like a dedicated, we're trying to rock really hard. We like rocking really hard. It feels it's kind of like it's just part of the energy of the band. It's really big, sort of. It's I can get all my Zeppelin licks out. You know, I wanted as a kid. You know, and it's really great. Zeus is a trio, and it's a lot like there's a lot more space. Like playing with Perry. Perry's he's kind of a very kind of hard. He's very handsome. El guapo. He's very handsome, and he distracts me when we play. And when we go on the radio,
Shining aura.
I think about his beard. Oh,
answer the question.
Playing with Perry is different because he takes up a lot of space.
Oh my god.
Musically,
Oh man.
musically, there's a lot of guitar, and I play with another guitar player in this band, and it's very different.
Is there a competition then? Are you two trying to kind of outplay each other?
Only on the drums, and I'm better, so it doesn't matter. I play all the drums on this record. I'm doubling down.
Stop it.
Jeff is a great drummer,
Yes.
and we love him very much. I wish he had played on this album.
I guess he's in the band now, isn't he?
He's in the band.
Gone from a trio to a quartet.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just different. Zeus is there's a lot of space, and you gotta fill it up. And Dino is a lot more like just trying. Like you can do cool stuff. I can mirror his vocal melodies and stuff because I know he's playing the rhythm. And you can do all these old cool rock and roll. I mean, the song that Shetty wrote, "Strawberry Blonde," like Perry and I get to do these harmony guitars, and it's a lot of fun to like do all that Thin Lizzy stuff, and I don't get to do that and other stuff. So.
How do the two bands differ live? What are you trying to deliver to an audience? What's the message that you're delivering to an audience with each band?
We're funnier, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's like
Dino-Bravo's
seeing
funny.
Bravo. There's actually stage presence, you know, because Perry's so good. He is like when you see, and like for people who've been seeing music in Burlington for a while, this has been a presence that we've all been in bands since the early 2000s. But if you remember like the Lessons in Party Star, like Perry's is it's a big personality, and he's when you see him on stage, like you want to pay attention when he says. When it's Zeus, it's like I remember like when people used to criticize the Eagles for many things, they'd say they loiter on stage because they just don't do anything. They just stand there and play their music, and to some degree, that's probably what Zeus does.
But Zeus is three guys who are masters at their craft, and I go see them whenever I can. One of my favorite local bands, one of my favorite bands. And watching David, he's a drummer and he also sings, and he's just so good at both at the same time. And Shetty is sick on the bass. He's ill.
He's physically ill right now.
Which is why he's not here.
He's not on the show.
And Chris is just wonderful, and their music speaks for itself, so they don't need the jokes. They don't need the jokes. I need the jokes. I gotta have the jokes.
Give me the joke.
Yeah.
It's just but Bravo's more about like there's like a fun. There's an aspect of fun, and I think we balance out. There's songs about party rocking, and then there's songs about what the party rocking does to you. So
It's not good.
it's not good is the answer.
Not good.
We're dying.
With the new album Blind by Midnight, you do all seem to have at least one song that you have written, each person in the band.
Except
Not Jeff.
Not well, he's not the band though. So
No, he is now as of a couple weeks ago.
And it's very important for the band.
He's a wonderful human.
Wonderful drummer.
He doesn't even know this is happening right now.
I bet Jeff has no clue we're on the radio right
Yeah.
now.
Even though we told him like 5
We
minutes.
told him. We did.
Yeah.
We're like, Jeff, we're
He
on
has
the
no
radio
idea.
Wednesday. Meet us at Green Door. And he's like, cool, yeah. I'll be there.
We're gonna go on Monday and be like, yeah, when we go on the radio. That's what's gonna happen.
What?
He's a lovely man. We love him very
listening
much.
right now with a single tear rolling down.
Oh.
Yeah, probably.
So was that an intentional idea? And kind of the follow-up question to that is how do each of you differ in terms of bringing new songs and new ideas to the band?
For me, I will bring pieces. I'll bring a riff, or even just I'll start with a vocal melody and write a riff around that, and then I'll come in with kind of A B A B A B, and I'll be like, Chris, Shetty, get that, fix it, make the C, make the bridge, and then Shetty put down his wonderful harmonies. He's a great singer.
Yeah.
Which really adds texture to the band. And it's just more of like a skeleton of a song that I bring, and then I have my wonderful musician good friends like make it 10 times better. Chris is similar, I believe. When you bring a song to the band, it's a little more structured probably than what I bring to the band.
Yeah.
Shetty's is very structured.
Shetty's
Shetty
very
has
structured. Shetty's
he has charts and all sorts of stuff going on.
Composed it all already. And
Yeah.
exactly what you.
He's like, here's your solo, and you're like,
Yeah, that's just the way it works. That's what makes him great too. He's a brilliant dude, and he's very good at like everything in music.
Mm-hmm.
like anything I have wrong, whether it's a song or my guitar or my amp or like what should I do here. I call him my song doctor.
Is it a bit Brian Wilson-esque, where he's kind of placing you around the room and making sure you close up to the microphone and?
Well, no, he's not that. He's not too bad like that. It's just more like with the structure. He's very architectural about his songs. You know, I think when when we bring in songs, it's a bit more like, okay, this is an A. It should go and like that's as much direction as you get from us because
we're Neanderthals.
Yeah. Well, also like when you play with somebody like Josh, like I'm not gonna tell Josh what to play on bass. He's fabulous. So it's like, and that hasn't always been my experience in bands when I was younger. Like there was a lot of, if you felt like I don't know about other people. Like I don't like the concept of being like the alpha musician, the guy who's like, okay. You know, like I like the idea of everybody plugging in and then you get that person's personality because that's what makes it really good. But if you have somebody like Josh, you really don't have to worry about it. And you can just be like, cool, there you go. But Josh is much more, he's got, you know, he's a little bit, just more meticulous about that kind of stuff, which does slow the process down. So I can pip him by writing more. Because he's taking so damn long to write out my own parts, so I can just do like, well, this one's just A to B, dude. I know this the difference in songwriting process is with Bravo is good because that way you can kind of pass the baton if somebody's just not having one, then someone else will have one, and it picks up nicely. And I follow a really strict procedure of I make sure I go through a terrible breakup, and that way I can write a song, and then about a year later I'll do it again.
Yeah,
and it's repeats,
So really, your breakup is sacrificial for the music's sake.
Yeah, I'd say.
He says it on his Tinder bio.
It's right on there. It's like
he's very honest about it.
365 days, and then I need you to dump me.
Yeah,
please. I can do it too, but the songs won't be as good if I do it. I need
the love of God. I'm running out of material.
Yeah, please.
The different styles of songwriting is why like some of the songs, like you can tell they're written by different people on the album, because sometimes it'll take us 6 months to get a song where we want it to be, and sometimes we'll be making a joke about something and write a song about it, and it's done in 4 minutes.
Yeah. Chuck Berry.
Yeah, we have a song called Chuck Berry. This is just about him putting cameras in the women's room of his restaurants, and it's just
because
repeating.
People need to know.
Yeah,
people need to know. Chuck Berry put cameras in his bathrooms. Okay, guys.
Yeah,
not a good
definitely
man.
Put him there.
He was not a cool dude.
In fact, no one was. Anyone from the 60s or 70s or 80s, or for a lot of the 90s, were pretty terrible.
Ringo. Nothing's wrong with Ringo.
With Ringo?
Ringo's the best.
He's breakfast sport.
Is he?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's like really old. So now we can just be like, it's okay, Ringo.
Okay, Ringo.
Okay, Ringo.
Pretty sure that's what everyone said to him for his entire life.
It's Ringo. It's fine.
He's harmless.
Yeah.
He likes octopies.
Oh, I love that song.
And so going into the studio to crank this album, any memorable moments in the actual recording of it? You were only in there a day, so you really packed it in. But after taking I keep banging on about this, but after taking so long to get there, how was it when you were actually recording it?
It was really easy for me. I haven't had the best recording experiences in the past, and it really gives me anxiety, like going into the studio. But the way Ryan, just the way Ryan is, the way he talks to you, just the setup of the place. He has this wonderful dog named Robot, and
that dog's awesome.
The dog's rules, and it was just so easy. And we recorded live, so just all the instruments at the same time, and then did overdub the vocals and solos later. And it just seemed like it went by like that. We do like 4 takes on each song, just pick the best one, and Ryan just took it and made it sound like Dino-Bravo. Like he just knew what to do, and we were just so happy with what he did, and thankful for him.
Had you been to a lot of your live shows? Did you know what the presence you brought in a live set, and you put that on the track, or was it he kind of made you sound like what you think you sound like, or was it both?
He's seen us.
Yeah. He actually,
I
think he technically played with us a couple years ago. He used to be in the Phantom Sons.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah, so he knows.
Chris, the fact checkers over here.
He knows what it sounds like, and like I said, we were in there doing. We did like a live radio show in the studio before that, about a year before that. I guess.
Yeah, which was hugely important because that I think got that monkey off our back a bit about the stress of the studio.
Yeah.
Because it was really good. It was really good. And the more Dino trends towards live, the better for us. That's what we're built to be. You know, we're not going to sit here. I mean, I don't know, but I don't see us making like some album where all of a sudden we all come up with synths and like everyone's programming beats and stuff.
Never say never.
I won't. I mean, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. Jeff would kill himself.
Yeah.
But it would. But I think we know what we are, and I think Ray and Ray does as well. Ryan did as well, and he recorded us as such. But we also did. I think we handled it very intelligently in the sense that we went one day to do all the basics, which was good, and we had a good day. Because the most important thing when you do that is your drums. That's how you get your drums down. And Jeff had a great day. Jeff just killed the drums. It's wonderful. So then we did vocals and most of the guitar solos at David from Zeus has a home studio, and we did it there. And that kind of, I think having the two things really, you have Ryan who just knows how to, I mean, he's just such a good producer anyway, but he really got a great sound out of us live. And then we were able to do these overdubs in a really like super laid back fashion, and I think it helped. He did a great job.
And I hear the release party was mid-November, and you got a lot of other local bands to come like support. Want to tell me a little bit about the evening itself and who got to go? And Ray, did you manage to get to the?
I was there. It was great. And it was packed. They filled the place. They threw in an Oasis cover.
Yes, we did.
A crowd pleaser.
For you.
Oh,
Yeah.
We knew you wouldn't come, so we're going to play the only band from Manchester I can think of.
we got a few. Yeah.
That's nice.
Manchester.
No, we played a song for Tom and he refused to come. I was texting him, we're going to play Oasis in 5 minutes. He told me,
You
no.
missed it. It was pretty good.
It was
But they played their whole album and then a whole bunch of other stuff, as you said. They've got enough, as far as I can tell, for 2 or 3 more albums at this point. So hopefully they'll knock them out pretty quick.
yeah.
Quicker than the current rate.
Ray, now you're in Vermont. Are you just packing your schedule with as many live acts as you can find? Now you can actually see them in the flesh.
Yeah, it's kind of like catch up for me. Of all these people I've paid attention to for the last 2 or 3 years, my pretty much only time I got to Vermont every year was Waking Windows, and so I was like super obsessive getting there right when it opened and seeing like 50 or 60 bands over the course of a weekend and trying to run. And so now it's kind of nice, like all the bands who didn't play there or who I would miss. I can catch up on them. Like they've got this thing at Arts Riot just this I think this coming weekend where like there's 20 bands play. That's great. That's the sort of thing I've always I follow these people on Facebook. I've always seen these cool Burlington things happening and never actually been able to participate. So I've definitely been making up for lost time, I think.
This dude goes to a lot of shows. I got paid to go to him. He goes to more than me.
Do people know you? Do the bands know you? Like, oh, that's right. He reviewed 4 of our albums.
Yeah, I mean, I keep getting that. The thing I keep hearing is, "Oh, you're the guy," because people know me via email. For most of the things I write, I will interview at least over, ask a few questions via email. So I know everyone via email. People tend to Facebook friend you, so I'm Facebook friends with people. But I actually did know very few people in person, and now it's just over and over again. I meet someone at a show and like, oh, we've been emailing for 3 years.
I mean, that's what we like.
That's how me and Chris met. We emailed about the Zeus Springsteen record, which was like 2 years ago or so. I'd never met him until I moved up here.
1 year.
Disappointing, isn't it?
It was a letdown, honestly.
Big letdown. You're like, oh, I thought you guys were gonna be attractive.
I had that. Oh, you're the guy moment about an hour ago.
Yeah.
With Ray, so.
Yeah, right. We just had it here. Keeps happening.
I'll be honest with you, Ray. Thanks to the county tracks, I've managed to have more success rate with these interviews than not, because you've provided me with most of my research.
Oh, good. Well, I'm happy to oblige.
It's hugely important to the local scene to have. I mean, as Big Heavy World's been such an important thing to the scene for so long. This is everything here is essentially DIY. There's it's no secret. Like there's no money here for music. So like
Because everything goes to me.
every Tom gets all the money.
Huge
That's where
salary.
it went.
Huge salary.
That golden voice of yours. But it's just so like everything in this town when it comes to the music scene depends on labors of love. It depends on somebody giving a shit, and thankfully Ray does right now. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, now you've actually become friends or know these people face to face. That enthusiasm might wane pretty quickly.
Yeah, right. Once I get to know the personalities, it's all downhill.
You see the labor of love culminate, and why Ray came up every year. Waking Windows is just a perfect example of that. It's like people just caring so much, and the people who run that just care so much about the local scene and stuff like that. And Chris, you had some thoughts on Waking Windows?
Oh yeah, I'm glad we got to this part of the interview. And jokes are over, guys. Jokes times are done. This is the 10th anniversary of Waking Windows, and it's a big one. This is Bravo and Zeus have been a big part of many years, but really it's not going to be if they don't book the right people to celebrate. Like, what's the point? And we're the 10th one, so why not book Weird Al?
We're gonna need Weird Al.
We need Weird Al. Brian, Allie, like I know you're listening. I know you are. I know you ignored my text about this. I've tagged on Instagram like 5 times. I tagged Weird Al on Instagram about this. I'm not even joking.
Get that change.org petition going.
Seriously, man. I don't know what
Weird Windows.
Weird Windows 10. That's what we need. We need Weird Al. It'll change everything.
So it's like as the main headliner, or are you gonna stick him in like Monkey House?
I don't think anyone else needs to play. I'll put him in the Monkey would be great.
How about Scout and Co at like 11 a.m. on Sunday?
Save it as accordion.
Yeah, you can
coffee.
do like 5 sets over the weekend at different spots. That'd be great.
But
Awesome. We're deadly serious.
We're deadly serious.
Have you genuinely? Have you emailed him, tagged him in a post?
I have tagged him in a post. Josh Schenecker went so far as to look online for how much it would cost to book Weird Al for a night.
Do you know how much it would be?
It was more than we thought. I don't remember it was exactly, but then we made sense. We're like, yeah, this guy has a lot of hits. But then
He's got a lot of
hits. But then I think I was at a Clever Girl show. I don't remember. I got lit at the Monkey in Cornered Alley. And was really like, look, I got really serious about all the reasons I thought it would be great. And I think she got really tired of me talking about it and started being nice about, yeah.
He is the whitest musician known to mankind, which would suit the whitest audience known to mankind, which is the crowd at Waking Windows.
That's correct.
I mean, it's not untrue. That's true.
Called Great White Rotary.
Great White Rotary. Oh no. There goes Winooski's property value. No, that's just gonna be all a bunch of white Weird Al fans. I don't know. I don't think anyone's gonna love him.
Ray, with your connections, have you?
I should.
lent a hand?
I interviewed Weird Al for my last book.
What?
I forgot about this.
So yeah,
Come on.
I've got his phone number. I could.
You got his phone number?
Let's do this.
Can we call him
Let's do
right
this
now?
live. Let's do this live. Can we call him?
I don't know. I might need him for another interview.
For information for those listening, Ray has written a book,
Fabulous book.
about cover tracks.
Yeah, so it's an offshoot of this blog. I think I mentioned the book's called Cover Me, and it's sort of the history of cover songs as told through like 20 iconic covers, starting with Elvis, and at the time Adele was the most recent, a couple of years old. But yeah, I've sort of been passionate about cover songs for over a decade now, and so the blog's been going for that long, and the book kind of spun out of that.
From the research from the book, you took 20 songs. Could you give us an interesting tidbit of music trivia that maybe didn't make it into the book, or something you thought was really weird or interesting that we should know about?
Sure. There's a whole lot in the book, but I guess one of the things that I learned, some of the chapters I sort of knew at least the broad outlines of the story, and some of them I was kind of going in cold, except had some inkling that there was a cool story. And one of those was a Midnight Train to Georgia, which one little tidbit I learned is, so first of all, it was not originally called Midnight Train to Georgia. It was originally called Midnight Plane to Houston. And of all things, the person who came up with that title was the actress Farrah Fawcett, because the songwriter was friends with her husband. And at one point he calls the husband, or attempts to, and Farrah picks up the phone, so making small talk. And he's like, well, where's your husband? He's like, oh, and and she says, "Oh yeah, he's leaving on a midnight plane to Houston." So he writes this whole song, "Midnight Plane to Houston," puts it out. It does nothing.
Why would it?
But then, yeah,
Who goes to
it does.
Houston at midnight? Idiots.
It does nothing. But then Sissy Houston hears it. She says, "I want to cover this," but it seems weird to sing "Midnight Plane to Houston" when your last name is Houston. So she's the one who changes it. She covers it. It does a little more, but still mostly nothing. But then Gladys Knight hears the new "Midnight Train to Georgia" Sissy Houston version and covers it, and then so it took 3 tries for that one. So that's the sort of story I'm interested in, where these songs don't hit on the first time, but maybe it takes 2 or 3.
Nice.
No idea.
And so you wouldn't have interviewed Weird Al for this book, which makes sense, because he is
It's gonna happen.
literally created a career out of doing his own covers. Was that one particular was that one of the 20 songs that you covered? Was
Yeah.
the Weird Al one?
Yeah, so I sort of wanted to do 2 things with that chapter. One is talk about the similarities and differences between cover songs and parodies. My sort of elevator, line about that is the cover song, you change the music and you keep the lyrics. With the parody, you change the lyrics and you keep the music. So it's similar in that way. But then as sort of the way in to talk about that, he does these polka covers, which is these medleys, that's the one like actual cover he does where he does change the music and keep the lyrics. So that was sort of the excuse. And then from there I could talk about the difference and also some of the legal stuff in terms of how you clear a cover song, how you clear a parody. He has all sorts of business dealings that clearing these things is just an endless amount of work, negotiating the money. And so, it's not a book about the music business exactly, but that's an important side of cover songs, particularly from the musician's perspective. So I wanted to get a little bit about that, and Weird Al offered sort of a fun way to do that.
So are you confirming now that you are going to call him up to get him
I can definitely guarantee he'll be there.
Yes. Write this down.
Heard it here first. Exclusive.
For
Big
sure.
World exclusive. Well, we've got about time for a last song from the Dino-Bravo album. I would love to hear a bit of background about it, but any last thoughts on your album? Is there anywhere that we can watch you play? Where are you doing in the next few weeks?
In the next few weeks, we will be rehearsing on Mondays.
Yeah.
And
Coming to our practice.
yeah, no, we're gonna get going on 2020 here. We're gonna get a show at Charlie's here in the next month or 2. We just gotta iron out a date on that. Trying to get back to Nectar's real soon, and always at the Monkey House, which is like our home base. So we'll be at the Monkey a lot. No hard dates yet. If you can find us on the internet, and we'll have some dates out real soon on that. And
You just got an Instagram page up as well, I saw.
Yeah.
We're late on everything.
Yeah, we're fiercely unambitious. We don't.
Well, I hear fiercely ambitious, but being forced to become slightly more ambitious.
It happened eventually. Just inertia.
Yeah.
I think to some degree. Kind of going to the gig thing. It takes a lot of effort to get this band moving in a good way because we all need to be in this state. So once it happens and we get in the studio and we do a record, we do a release show, like the inevitable is that afterwards it's like, oh, maybe not this week, right? Well, chill out this week. So we're still kind of in that patting our bellies phase from the record and the show.
Get through the holidays, and then we'll be ready to go. Hopefully we'll be awake in Windows as well.
I mean, as long as the Weird Al thing happens out, if he's not there, obviously we can't.
Right.
We can't.
I mean, the whole thing should be cancelled.
Well, yeah, it all depends on Weird.
We'll see what Al says.
Yeah.
Shoot some stuff, see what's going on.
Yeah, we'll give him a call after the show.
Yeah.
So you're on Instagram. Instagram handle is
Dino-Bravo VT.
and Facebook.
Same.
Thing. Yeah.
And where can people find your album if they want to buy it?
Bandcamp right now. Just going to Bandcamp. It's free if you like. You can pay us if you like. And it's there. We're gonna put it up on Spotify. I think we're trying to time it with Christmas.
Yeah.
So we're part of the Christmas season, and that way we're like Die Hard.
Yeah.
We become a Christmas movie on accident.
All you need to do is get one of those songs on a Christmas playlist, and that's how Mariah Carey's made billions of dollars.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the last song we're gonna play tonight. You want to give us a little bit of a blurb?
Pop music.
Sure. Talk about it.
Pop music is just came up. I just came up with the melody for the chorus, and Shetty came up with the harmony for the chorus. Lyrically, this is again about coming to terms with getting older, we've all been in bands in this town for about 20 years now. So it's just kind of the whole album is just kind of like Chris said, it's a love letter to rock and roll and kind of like getting older in the scene. And this is just like kind of coming to terms with that again, and just and what are we gonna do next and stuff like that. And it's also about Kurt Weill being better than Bob Dylan.
Whoa, just gonna leave that.
Yeah,
right.
Kurt Weill is better than Bob Dylan.
Oh, he's got two of them in. The song's about Weird Al. You can get it in there.
Yeah.
He's waiting the whole time to get it in.
It's the only reason I'm here tonight.
I promised that he could say it if he That's like
Scorching hot. Molten tape.
Bob. He's that. I saw the tweet. I quite like Dylan. There's a tweet where it's Bob Dylan is just his mumblecore for boomers. It's like the news thing I've ever heard. Again, I don't subscribe to that. But it makes me laugh.
Oh dear.
We didn't talk shit about any other brothers today.
You should talk shit about your own drummer.
That's all we ever do. Did we talk shit about Shaggy? We should have.
I think we said really nice things about
Okay.
I threw a passive aggressive dig only till that.
Yeah.
It'll eat him
Oh,
up.
I got it.
Oh, you got it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's gonna eat him up inside tonight. He'll be sitting around like the mother.
I know he's listening.
He's listening. Jeff really does not know. That's why I don't feel bad. Jeff has no clue this is happening, I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything that Jeff does not know we're doing.
Will we listen to it afterwards?
If
Yeah.
tell him.
If we tell him, yeah.
Sitting down, popping the projector.
Yeah.
Radio.
Yeah, Jeff believing that eSocks is an online socks market for a while.
Yeah.
So we can,
Well, yeah, we're at, it's a Monday before practice, but we're at Esops having a beer. He's like, what's Esops?
living there whole life. Been living there forever.
That's a life, but
Yeah, a long time.
a long time. We're like, it's an online store to buy socks.
That's where you're having really?
Yeah, that's what we are.
We're at
having
the
beer.
online store to buy socks.
He's sincere.
Oh dear. Ray, thanks for being dragged in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks
yeah.
for dragging me in. Thanks for being friends.
It was great.
I need someone else with me.
We need to sort of keep them in line. Reminder.
My rap gun.
Do you play any songs before?
Yeah, 28th, Charlie O's. We're doing one, and then we're in the studio. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Yeah, we were saying that.
we should have. It should be. This record should be out at the latest by March, in theory.
The absolute latest.
With our latest. That with those guys, it's like very everybody. You have to kind of because we don't like each other as much, so we have to do it.
That was Dino-Bravo, and also big thank you to Ray Paget for coming on impromptu. So I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Next week we have got Beethoven and Counts. It says Sleepers.
Couch sleepers.
Sleepers.
Yeah.
I'm reading Couch
I like
Sleepers.
that name.
Yeah, it might just be a typo on the website, but we'll find out.
Fix that.
We'll find out next week. Big thank you once again, Dino-Bravo, and
Thank you.
Ray for being on. I've been the host, Tom Proctor. This has been the Rocket Shop. Thank you. Good night.
Like I said, past tense. Like, what happened? Did you die right after? You were the host.
I've been the host.
You've been the host.
I've been
This
the
is your
host.
last
No
show.
more. Now,
He's been
now on.
a ghost.